Most people believe power is loud. They believe it demands attention, approval, and constant validation. But Marcus Aurelius lived in a world far louder and more violent than ours: wars, betrayal, politics, death surrounding him daily. Yet he ruled not with noise but with control. And this is the first truth you must understand. Real power does not chase attention. It commands respect without asking for it. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is pressure. It is presence. It is the weight of a man who has mastered himself. When you walk into a room calm, unbothered, and observant, people feel it immediately. They may not know why, but something shifts, conversations slow, eyes turn, energy changes. Stoicism teaches that the loudest person is often the weakest, because noise is compensation for inner chaos, while silence is proof of inner order. Marcus Aurelius wrote these lessons not for applause but for survival, reminders to himself so he would not lose control of his mind while ruling an empire. Today your battlefield is different: social pressure, emotional manipulation, disrespect, comparison, and constant noise attacking your focus. This video exists for one reason: to show you how Stoicism forges power in silence, how calm becomes authority, how emotional discipline makes you untouchable, and how saying less allows you to control more. If you learn this, you will stop reacting, stop explaining, stop begging to be understood. Instead, people will feel your strength before you ever speak. This is not about becoming cold or distant. It is about becoming grounded, steady, and dangerous in the quiet way that lasts. By the end of this, you will understand why Stoic silence terrifies weak minds, why calm men rise faster, and why Marcus Aurelius believed the greatest empire to rule was the one inside your own mind. Lesson 1. Control your inner world first. Everything begins inside. Marcus Aurelius understood that no man is defeated from the outside first. Collapse always starts within. If your thoughts are scattered, emotional, and reactive, your presence will reflect that weakness even if you try to hide it. Stoicism teaches that the mind is a gatekeeper. What you allow in determines how you move through the world. When you wake up irritated, offended, or anxious, you carry that energy into every interaction. People feel it, they sense instability, and they lose respect without ever saying a word. This is why inner control is the foundation of silent power. Marcus wrote that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. When you stop letting every comment shake you, when you stop letting every look trigger you, something profound happens. Your nervous system slows, your decisions sharpen, and your emotions stop controlling your actions. Silence begins internally before it ever shows externally. You stop reacting instantly, you stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you, and you stop arguing with those who feed on chaos. Controlling your inner world does not mean suppressing emotion, it means understanding it without obeying it. Anger becomes information, not a command. Fear becomes awareness, not paralysis. Calm becomes your default state, not something you chase. This inner mastery creates gravity. People trust those who are steady, they follow those who are unshaken, and they respect those who cannot be pulled into emotional games. Silence becomes natural when your inner world is stable, because you no longer need to defend your ego or prove your worth. The more you master yourself, the less you need to speak. This is why Stoicism creates quiet leaders, not performers. When you control your inner world, the outer world loses its grip on you, and that freedom is felt by everyone around you. Lesson 2. Silence starves ego and feeds authority. Ego is loud because it is fragile. It needs validation, agreement, applause, and attention to survive. Authority does not need any of this. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that praise and blame are just noises made by other people's opinions, and opinions change like the wind. When you speak less, you stop feeding the ego, both yours and theirs. You no longer argue to win, explain to convince, or perform to impress. Silence removes you from unnecessary battles, and that alone elevates your status. People who talk too much reveal insecurity. People who interrupt reveal impatience. People who constantly explain reveal self-doubt. When you stay calm and silent, especially under pressure, others begin to project strength onto you. They assume confidence because you are not scrambling to be heard. This is psychological. Humans associate stillness with control. Marcus Aurelius understood that a ruler who reacts emotionally loses authority instantly. The same applies today. The moment you lose composure, you give power away. Silence is not passive, it is strategic. It allows others to expose themselves while you remain grounded. In conversations, negotiations, conflict, or relationships, the one who speaks less often holds the advantage. Silence forces others to fill the space, and in doing so, they reveal their intentions, insecurities, and weaknesses. When you are silent, you are not invisible, you are observing. This observation sharpens judgment and strengthens decision-making. Ego wants to respond immediately, authority waits. Ego wants to dominate the moment, authority controls the outcome. When you starve the ego, your presence becomes heavier, your calm becomes intimidating, and your words, when you finally choose to speak, land with precision. This is how Stoicism transforms silence into influence. Lesson 3, respond slowly and you will be untouchable. Most people live in reaction mode. Someone speaks and they immediately fire back. Someone disrespects them and emotion takes control. Someone challenges them and they feel the urge to prove themselves. Marcus Aurelius warned against this exact weakness. He reminded himself that you always have the option of not reacting, and this single habit separates the powerful from the controlled. When you respond slowly, you create distance between stimulus and action, and in that space lies freedom. Stoicism teaches that speed belongs to emotion while patience belongs to reason. The faster someone reacts, the easier they are to manipulate. A slow response signals confidence, composure, and inner authority. When you pause before speaking, others begin to feel exposed, because silence forces them to sit with their own words. They start explaining, justifying, overtaking, and revealing more than they intended. This is why silence is disarming. It removes the emotional feedback loop. Responding slowly does not mean being weak or indecisive. It means you are choosing your moment. Marcus Aurelius understood that every reaction is a form of permission. You allow someone else to dictate your state of mind. When you slow down, that control returns to you. People who are calm under pressure are perceived as leaders even if they hold no title. In conflict, the one who remains composed automatically gains psychological advantage. Their opponent feels rushed, unstable, and emotionally naked. This is not manipulation. This is discipline. By responding slowly, you protect your energy, your reputation, and your long-term outcomes. You stop saying things you regret, you stop escalating situations unnecessarily, and you stop feeding drama that does nothing for your growth. Silence here becomes armor. It absorbs impact while revealing your opponent's weakness. Over time, this habit reshapes your identity. People learn that they cannot provoke you easily, they cannot rush you, and they cannot control you emotionally. That realization alone commands respect. The Stoic, who responds slowly, becomes untouchable not because nothing happens to him, but because nothing owns him. Lesson 4, silence makes your words heavy. In a world drowning in noise, words have lost their value. Everyone speaks constantly. Opinions are everywhere, and meaning is diluted. Marcus Aurelius understood that speaking less increases impact. When you are selective with your words, each one carries weight. Silence is not the absence of communication. It is the preparation for precision. People who talk endlessly cheapen their voice. Even when they say something important, it gets lost in the flood. Stoicism teaches restraint, not because words are dangerous, but because misuse weakens authority. When you speak only when necessary, people pay attention. They listen differently. Your voice becomes associated with clarity and intention rather than emotion and impulse. Silence also forces you to think before you speak, sharpening your ideas and removing unnecessary emotion. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself constantly, not to others, because clarity begins internally. When you process thoughts privately, your public words become refined. Silence gives you time to choose language that aligns with reason rather than reaction. This is why calm speakers are trusted more. They appear thoughtful, measured, and grounded. When you finally speak after a pause, the room changes, people lean in, energy focuses, and your message lands with force. Silence creates contrast, and contrast creates impact. The less you speak, the more your words matter. This applies to leadership, relationships, and personal boundaries. When you stop over-explaining, you stop negotiating your worth. When you stop justifying yourself, you signal confidence. When you stop filling every silence, you allow others to feel the weight of your presence. Stoicism teaches that not every thought deserves a voice, and not every moment requires explanation. Silence sharpens your language like a blade, removing excess until only truth remains. This is how words regain their power. Lesson 5. Do not announce your plans. One of the most dangerous mistakes modern men make is announcing their intentions before taking action. They speak goals aloud, share visions prematurely, and seek validation before results. Marcus Aurelius warned against this behavior. He believed virtue should be lived, not displayed. Stoicism teaches quiet progress, not public performance. When you announce your plans, you expose them to interference, envy, doubt, and unnecessary opinions. Energy leaks through explanation. Silence protects momentum. Moving quietly allows you to focus without distraction. When you keep plans private, you remove pressure and expectation. You work for mastery, not applause. Announcing goals often creates a false sense of accomplishment. Your brain receives reward before effort, and motivation weakens. Silence reverses this. Effort comes first, results come next, recognition comes last, if at all. Marcus Aurelius ruled while reminding himself not to act for praise, because praise corrupts intention. When you move in silence, your actions become purer, driven by discipline rather than image. People are shocked not because you talked about success, but because you arrived without warning. Silence builds mystery, and mystery amplifies respect. Those who speak constantly are predictable. Those who move quietly are not. This unpredictability creates power. Stoicism teaches that the best response is progress, not explanation. Let consistency speak. Let results speak. Let time speak. When people finally notice, it is already done. Silence here is not secrecy, it is focus. It is choosing growth over noise. Those who master this stop seeking approval and start building outcomes that cannot be ignored. Lesson 6. Silence destroys manipulation. Manipulation survives on reaction. It feeds on emotion, impulse, and predictable behavior. Marcus Aurelius understood that the fastest way to disarm any manipulator is to remove their access to your emotional responses. Stoicism teaches that no one can control you unless you surrender control willingly. Silence becomes a barrier, a wall that filters intention from influence. When someone attempts to provoke, guilt trip, rush, or pressure you, they expect a reaction, a defense, or an explanation. Silence denies them that fuel. Without your emotional engagement, their tactics collapse. They become exposed, uncomfortable, and uncertain. This is not cruelty, it is clarity. Silence forces manipulators to confront themselves. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you are harmed only when you believe yourself to be harmed, meaning emotional injury is often self-inflicted through reaction. When you remain calm and silent, you signal that their words have no authority over your inner state. This creates an imbalance of power. Manipulators rely on urgency, confusion, and emotional fog. Silence brings time, clarity, and space. It allows you to observe patterns, intentions, and motives without being pulled in. Over time, people learn that emotional games do not work on you. They either adjust their behavior or remove themselves. Both outcomes protect your peace. Silence here is not avoidance, it is control. It allows you to choose engagement rather than being dragged into it. Stoicism teaches that restraint is strength, and silence is restraint made visible. When you stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you, you reclaim energy and dignity. This kind of silence creates a reputation. People know you cannot be manipulated, rushed, or emotionally cornered. That reputation alone becomes a shield. Calm men are difficult to control, and difficult men are respected. Lesson 7. Silent discipline builds legendary presence. Discipline is not loud, it does not seek attention, and it does not need witnesses. Marcus Aurelius woke early, endured hardship, led armies, and governed an empire while reminding himself daily to remain humble and focused. His strength was not performance, it was consistency. Stoicism teaches that the most powerful habits are practiced in silence. Waking early when no one sees, training when no one applauds, reading when no one knows, and improving when no one is watching. This quiet repetition builds identity. Presence is not something you act out, it is something you become. People sense discipline without being told, they feel structure, reliability, and depth. Silence allows discipline to compound. There is no distraction, no comparison, no external pressure, only effort and progress. Marcus Aurelius believed that greatness comes from doing the same right things repeatedly, regardless of recognition. Silent discipline sharpens posture, focus, and decision-making. It builds confidence that does not need validation. Over time, your presence changes. You speak less but mean more, move slower but with intention, and react less because you are grounded. Others may not understand what makes you different, but they feel it. This is legendary presence, not built through dominance or intimidation, but through quiet mastery. Stoicism teaches that pain endured silently strengthens character, while comfort chased loudly weakens it. Discipline practiced in silence turns loneliness into clarity and routine into power. When your habits are strong, your silence becomes intimidating. It signals that you are busy building something internal that cannot be shaken. This is the presence of a man who governs himself. Silence is not weakness, it is command. It is the language of self-mastery, the mark of a mind that no longer seeks approval or reacts to chaos. Marcus Aurelius showed us that power does not announce itself, it reveals itself through calm action and steady discipline. When you stop explaining, stop reacting, and stop chasing attention, something shifts. People listen when you speak, respect you when you move, and feel your presence even when you say nothing. Stoicism does not make you invisible. It makes you undeniable. The quiet man becomes the standard others measure themselves against. If this message resonated with you, reflect on where you can replace noise with calm, reaction with restraint, and words with action. Comment silence below and commit to mastering your inner world. Subscribe to Stoic Spark for more ancient wisdom forged for modern strength, and press the bell icon so you never miss the next lesson that sharpens your mind and soul. Your power has always been quiet. Now, let it grow.